All right. Good morning and good afternoon. Thank you for taking your valuable time to join us for this second of three webcasts today on our webcast Wednesday. I hope and trust that this will be a great investment of your time. Wanted to say hi and welcome. My name is Sean. I'm the owner of RSA Solutions and happy to be helping with the webcast today. So today we're going to be focusing in on a technology called Planning Assistant, and I'm really looking forward to that. Just a little bit about what's going to transpire here through our short time together for the webcast. I want to introduce you to a little bit of what I would call new information methodologies from RSA Solutions, why it is that I believe our website is a great resource for you and your business. And then we'll get into the actual presentation where I'll be introducing a dear and super friend of mine that is going to be doing the presentation. And then as we have completed the actual presentation of Planning Assistant, then we will, of course, take the time for question and answer. Relative to the demonstration of Planning Assistant, I want you to try to get something in your mind. I find sometimes that facts and figures tell, but sometimes stories sell. So I want you to think about this really being in two parts. Number one, of course, everything that we do is meant to be able to work together in a really seamless way. But I want you to understand and grasp that Planning Assistant can be used as a standalone planning and scheduling tool that can help you back schedule your factory to be able to see your load or the load against your productivity goals or capacity, and to be able to even see the status of where things are. Of course, that enhancement gets even way better when it's coupled with Production Coach, and now we have deeper level data coming from CAD/CAM systems, and we have all of the part level tracking capabilities of Production Coach. So really amazing. So the first part of the demo will be how could it be used as a standalone system, and then giving you an idea of some of the added benefits of having it in conjunction with Production Coach. So while we're here on the website for just a moment, you'll notice it's got a scroll bar, some technologies. Always you can find right on our homepage the next events, and so as soon as these events are over today, the next batch of events will be happening. I will tell you that even though it's been a little bit of a strange time with pandemic and that kind of stuff, we are going to do a mass number of what we call factory tour events in 2022. And so that will be opportunities for you to be able to register and to be able to go in person to be able to see, and we'll also have them virtual to be able to see factories utilizing some of the amazing technologies such as what we're talking about today. So for those of you who did not register for Planity, that occurs actually at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, just to give you a little peek into what that's going to be like. If you do purchasing, if you need to manage inventory in any kind of a way, if you've got chaos, if you've got supply chain issues, if you want better visibility, if you want to have a Friday meeting and know that what you have available to schedule for finite manufacturing the next week, and you want this bidirectionally seamlessly connected not only to your front end CAD/CAM, but also to QuickBooks Enterprise, you might want to know about Planity. So there'll be plenty of time after the webcast for you to go register for that, and it begins at 3 o'clock. We have done some transformation of the RSA Solutions site. So here from the homepage, you'll see that we're trying to redirect the way that we're communicating to people who visit our site so that they can go learn about areas, things that they're having to deal with in their business. And I think that you'll see that it's pretty comprehensive, from e-commerce solutions to takeoff and estimation to project management, planning and scheduling, just like what we're going to be covering today, purchasing and inventory, tracking, sorting, all the way across, even including business, financing, and banking. So I think that you'll find that there's some really good content, lots of screenshots, lots of videos, lots of information. And for those of you who are inside of the United States, who have businesses with W-2 employees, I want to just take a quick moment to tell you about something that I think might bless your business. As you know, this has been kind of an unprecedented time, and there was what was passed called the CARES Act. And I would imagine for most of you, you've probably heard about that, know that the SBA was offering things such as PPP and EIDL programs. But most, unfortunately, don't even know that there exists a third leg of the CARES Act, or even if they do know about it, their CPAs don't know how to help them qualify. It's different than the other two. There are some really, how do I say this? You really have to have knowledge both about taxation and payroll, and a lot of times that's separated. But I want you to know that I think that this might actually be bigger for you if you have W-2 employees. For example, PPP was great. We could get some money as a entrepreneur. That was wonderful. However, it came as a loan. And so then we had to be able to prove how we spent it, very restricted, in order to have the loan forgiven. And then EIDL, while it had some benefits to it, like low interest rate and deferred, and over a long period of time, it still was something that we have to pay back as a loan. ERC is not that way. ERC can get you up to $26,000 per employee, and it has no restrictions on how you use the funds, and you're able, you're able to do this. So it's not a loan. I made a very simple web page to help customers, a little video on it, and if you want, you can click this one button and be able to self-qualify. Just try to answer yes to what you can, and let the people behind us that know how to make it happen help you out. So that will be something I think will be quite helpful for you in the process. I'm going to go from our solutions to the planning and scheduling, just so that you see that there is great information available here on the webpage, nice videos, and we'll be continuing to add to the content, all kinds of screenshots and more information for you to be discovering as we move along. Something I also want to mention for those of you who are customers of Production Coach and or Planning Assistant, we have launched a customer forum that you can have direct access to, so you can have peer-to-peer discussions and help and strategies and how other people are doing things. So a really amazing way to bring the community together. So I'm super excited about that. What I want to do is I want to switch the screen, so that what we're going to do is share the screen of a presenter who is with us today that I'm greatly honored that is here to help. And I'm just making sure that I get this correct. Don't freak out if I'm quiet for just a second. So I figure this out. Make presenter. Okay, so Jonathan, that should put a request over to you. So while you're working on displaying your screen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you a person that I've been in business with for a long time, a person that I trust completely, someone that I consider to be a dear friend, and just an amazing, super smart guy in our industry. His name is Jonathan Saucier of WebCab, who is our partner for the development of both the Planning Assistant and also Production Coach. And so it's amazing that we have him on today, and he's going to share with us Planning Assistant. So Jonathan, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can, and I wish that you can also.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Thank you so much. I'll turn it over to you. We can see your screen perfectly and hear you fine.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Sean. Thank you for the introduction. And hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan from WebCab. Like Sean was explaining, we are the developers, the team building in the background of the tools that we want to show you today, Planning Assistant, and from Production Coach, of some of you already have seen towards that. So today our goal really is going to be to concentrate to you guys and then show you a little bit what is Planning Assistant, what it does. Some of you may use it if you're customers already of Production Coach and have the calendar option, Well, it's really the same tool, Planning Assistant, but what happened is that we have redesigned that version in a new way, a new interface, 100% web application. So we want to show you a little bit today what's going to be built in towards that. Before we start really going into the Planning Assistant, I always start with a little bit about us, who we are, where we come from, and I think it's important for people to understand where WebCab started and why these tools has been developed and where they come from. And what's really important to understand is that WebCab has over more than 18 years of experience in the woodworking industry. And the reason why we have that is when we started our business, we started as being resellers of CAD/CAM products. So we were reselling a CAD/CAM software product that was dedicated in the woodworking industry. So we started our business in the woodworking industry. As time went by, our customers in our area where we were resellers, and by the way, we were working already at that time with Sean and his team. So we started really to talk with our customers, and they started to have specific needs that was needed for the industry, where our customer needed to track their information, organize their information, plan their information. And at that time, there was not necessarily nothing really existent that was specific for the woodworking industry, but a lot of generic things. So this is where we started designing the tools to help the industry, and we started to work directly with Sean and his team for reselling towards that. So it's really a product that was built with knowledge and needs of people that comes out from the woodworking industry. So our goal is not to try to build tools that's going to be generic and filled for every industry, but really specific to hold on and work for the woodworking industry. This is the way that we build it inside of that. And I just want to explain that little screen that I'm showing right now is that 60% of our development comes from the industry needs. So this is how we build our stuff. So it's not because we're not doing it today that we won't be able to do it tomorrow. We're there really to help understand your needs, understand what you want, and work into our platforms to make it grow and help the community of the woodworking industry. 40% comes out of our development from new technology. When we're talking about new technology, we can talk about some RFID technology, LED, new methods that could come out from other industry that can help our own to make it better towards that. So this is really how our development works, and I really wanted to just state it out that it's tools that's been designed for the industry by the needs of the industry that goes on, and this is the way that we're going to continue doing our things towards that. So our main platforms of what we have is the Planning Assistant, what we really want to show you today, and also the Production Coach software that you some of you may have or work with already known towards that. So today, with the aspect of planning, what was our main goal of working into that? Well, we know that the planning aspect and scheduling a project is a pretty much complex aspect. So you have a lot of tasks that needs to be done, not just in the shop. Sometimes people are mostly talking about the shop, but there's a lot of tasks that needs to be done before it goes into the shop that needs to be organized. And often these tasks that are done in the shop, not in the shop, sorry, from the office, are tasks that are being delayed and cuts your time of producing and making sure that the production go in. So the key with this is trying to make it the simplest as possible to know when things has to be done, to keep inform everybody when something is being done, and using tools that everybody is aware and familiar to work with, and not necessarily complex aspect that's going into that. So that was our main goal of working and creating the Planning Assistant work towards this. So really make it easy, be able to manage your shop capacity, but not just your shop, also your office task, making sure that everybody knows when thing has to be done and getting informed when somebody's completing a task or completing an aspect in the different project. Collaborate with your team, having everybody informed of all their elements that needs to be done at the right moment. So what we're going to do is that we're going to jump in directly in the live. Sean, are we seeing correctly my calendar right now, just to make sure that it's still the same thing? If not, just let me know. So what everybody should, yeah, great, perfect. So what everybody should be seeing right there is our calendar. So that's the Planning Assistant tool. As you can see right here, it is a web page application. So everything is built on at 100% web. So you have a connection that you can connect. You can see also your different aspect towards your cell phone. It works. It works also on a tablet. It is not an app that you download from App Store or from the others. It's really a web connection page that you can access. The planning tool is designed and divided really in 3 categories that we want to be able to manage. There's what we call the deliveries, being able to manage all your delivery when things has to be scheduled and delivered. And you can also manage your deliveries by different categories. What I'm saying towards that, so you can manage your different trucks that you have, your pickups, your different sub element, or even jobs that are not yet assigned necessarily to a specific delivery person there. So you can really sub-manage all these aspects and assign to who needs to manage the deliveries. What you're seeing right here, every little bar that you're seeing is what we call a work order or project or jobs that we're able to see. Every job has a color coded at the end of this. What represents the color code there represents the status of the job, where it is depending on your different station or task that you have. Now, as you can see, the list of all these tasks or station are not necessarily just shop elements, but it could be also office task elements of when they need to be done. Every time that a task is complete or a station is complete, it will update the color to let you know that this element has been completed. And is all these steps or all these tasks customized? Yes, you design what is the steps that you want to see and follow towards your shop. So you have full control. You can add it anytime you want or remove some anytime you want also towards that. You're also able to see what is the percentage of the advancement of every project, you know, what things are being completed or what's left to do on all of these tasks. So that allows you to give you a big view towards this. Now, as you can see, we also use tools of a lot of the industry is used to use an aspect that looks like Google Calendar or Outlook. So we're using an interface that it's simple and where people are used to handle towards that. And it's a drag and drop. So anytime you want to change the delivery date, well, you just go in, drag it to change your date that you want, and automatically will update towards that change of date directly there. You can see it by months, you can see it by weeks, you can see it by work week, day, and even into a list view that works great on a cell phone to see what exactly aspect needs to be done. And any project, every project, when we're going to that, well, you're going to have information of the project, so you can see what's the deliveries, you can add in comments, you can even attach an address for your deliveries or your installers to know exactly what is the address that they need to go to do that delivery there. We also synchronize documentation using Dropbox. So anywhere you can share different views or different calendars, Dropbox documentation that you can share and different categories that we have there. So you can assign to different people what type of categories of documentation they can view. So you're making sure to have everything shown towards your elements. So that's one of the great things that's being showed into the calendar there. So again, you're able to really manage all your deliveries, but you can also go in and instead manage all your installs if you want to. So you have both ways where you can assign an installation date and a job to someone and be able to really see what does John has to do on that week or Mark has to do on that week. So you have full control on every of these aspects going through. Now, the third section that we're able also to manage towards the planning assistant is what we call them our steps. So every steps or every task that we want to create inside of planning assistant, well, this is where you're able to see when things have to be done. So the way we work in the planning tool is that we work in a back scheduling reference. What I mean by there is when I select a view right here, automatically when I create a project, the system will create on every step that I want the work order of when it needs to be done, towards that. The way that we work towards it is by a back scheduling function. So we're giving a delivery date or an install date, and then we create recipes. What that means is I can create, let's say, a simple recipe saying I'm doing a job in Melamine, and when I'm doing a job in Melamine, I want to start my cutting aspect 10 days before my delivery. But when I'm doing a wood job, wood recipe, well, I want to be sure to do my cutting aspect 20 days before my delivery. So automatically the system will create these steps or these jobs when it needs to be done on your different level of your that you want to follow into your shop. So that allows to create really that job at different levels, and you can see when it needs to be done. What's great about it is that, again, in every views, well, there's a drag and drop function. So you can move around your job if you want to move it and change its delivery, its task state of when it's supposed to be done. And it can affect other steps that follows that element. So if I move my CNC dates to do my production, well, automatically I can affect all the other station that follows towards that will move also and follow my change that I just did towards this. Other great little thing that you're going to see is that you can see visually when a task is being completed or how much days is left before the delivery of that element. And am I back or am I late or not, depending on my task that needs to be done there, because I'm getting more tight there. You can also go inside of an element and have, again, all the comments that will follow and all the same documentation that can be shared directly inside of that element. Another great little thing is when I select a day, I'm able to have capacity measurement. So what I'm seeing right here at the CNC, well, I have applied to know what is my capacity of my CNC. Well, I want to measure myself by sheets and a numeric value. Numeric value can be money value, can be other little things that you wish to be able to handle. You decide what you want to view towards that. But you're able to give yourself capacity. By the way, we have other types of capacity. I'll show it to you in a couple of seconds. But you decide on your workstation what is your capacity. You give a minimum and a maximum of what you want to do inside of these capacity by day. So when you select the day, well, you can see if you're in your target or not. So when it's yellow, it's that you're over a capacity on this element, but when it's red, it's that you're lower capacity on that element. You can also select a week and view what is the total of your week, and it's going to adjust itself for you to be able to plan your elements. Now, if your question is what happens if I'm over or lower capacity, well, the system shows you and you're able to take the decision of what you do, because in certain case, you have no choice. You'll have to produce what you have to produce in that week, and you'll adjust your productivity or your guys towards that, or making more time if you need to. So really, you're able to view in advance and in front what's going to be your elements of capacity and choose what is your measure of capacity depending on your station towards that. And I really like to have more than just one view of measurement, like in this case using sheet and numeric value being for me my money of the project, because even if I'm correct in my sheet, knowing that I'm producing a high level of money, well, I'm going to create more issues on other aspect of my facility right there. So I'm knowing in advance that may be more trouble, but I can maybe add, if I want to high up more sheets, well, I can high like lower numeric value project and higher numbers of sheet towards that. So you have really a flow of things that you can decide of how you want to handle your things. Now, we're working with the different step as we see right here. It doesn't necessarily only have to be shop task or station to do, but it could be also office task. So an example right here, well, we decide to have a task to explain when the field measurement has to be complete. So with our back scheduling, we said that the field measuring has to be done, let's say 15 days before the delivery when it's a milling job, and I don't know, 20 days when it's a wood job. So you can also make sure that these steps of field measuring, engineering has to be done when your purchasing has to be complete. And even for some customers, when even for some of our customers is a task that when the customer has to finalize his choice of color. Whatever you want, you can decide on your office when things has to be complete. And tasked with the back scheduling can also be steps that are after the delivery. Like in our case right here, we even created another step called invoicing to know that the invoicing has to be done 4 days after the install at the customer. So we know exactly when thing has to be invoiced and making sure that we're respecting, because if I move my install date, automatically that aspect will also move because it will be attached to my my back scheduling date being my delivery or my install aspect towards that. So you can have tasks that are being done after an install or delivery, and you can have things being done before also in that level. Now, getting a project inside of Planning Assistant. There's two different ways, because one of the things is that the question maybe is, can I use Planning Assistant without using my Production Coach software? Well, the answer is yes. And for often customers, we suggest that they start the first step of integration using the Planning Assistant, because it's a fast little step, a fast pace that you're able to integrate in your facility and help you get your hands on, and after introducing the Production Coach for you to go on. So easily, you're able to create a project directly inside of Planning Assistant. So we have a project creation screen. And by the way, even if you have Production Coach, because we know that with Production Coach, we're importing the data once the engineering is completed. So sometimes it's later in the process. I do have a lot of customers that they go in and create the work order in the Planning Assistant once it's been sold. Why? Because they know exactly when they need to deliver, and they can use it for following other other tasks in the office of when it's being done. And afterwards, when the engineering job is ready, well, they merge that engineering job with the project created in Planning Assistant. Well, I'll show you in a few seconds towards that. So you have a project screen that you can create. So going on, I'm creating a little plus. I can give him the name that I want. So I'm going to call it webinar 12:15 for today. And then I choose what is my recipe. So I have created 5 types of recipes. So you just go in, select the recipe that you want to use for your project. And then if you have a project type, well, you can choose a project type being an architectural project, a specific contractor, or whatever it is. These are the different values that can be attached to a project when you create them. So these values can be populated from your CAD/CAM system once it's ready for production, or you can manually also write in values if you want to. So like I just wrote inside of my numeric values, the 8,500 for being my money value of my project, because this is what I want to use. And later on, I'll populate all these other information coming out from my CAD/CAM system. But if you don't have any CAD/CAM system and you just want to use it, you can also manually design how much product you think there is going to be inside of that, how much square foot if you want to, because these are all the elements that can be used for your capacity measurement of your workstation go on. Then you can have your customer information that you can fill out. So I just use the automatic build out of Google, but you can type in the customer name, the address, the email address, etc. And finally, you have your dates. When is the delivery supposed to be? And if you want to give them also what is supposed to be the install date, so you can have all these information directly there. If you want to assign right now a shipping, you can so or not. You can do it later on. There's no problem. And then we go to the next stage. What's going to be interesting right here is that I have my progress that shows you all my steps that needs to be done. And I have 2 in red because it shows me that depending on my template, these dates are already passed away depending on today's date. So I'm already behind on these 2 elements right there. So you can go in, change your delivery, or just know that you're going to have to push these 2 steps faster in your process as you go in. You decide how you want to treat it. So once it's done, automatically the system will create a work order that's going to go in directly in the planning tool. So if I go inside of my December view, well, now I can see that my project webinar, it's been created on that level. And from there, I will automatically have in my other steps, if I go to my CNC, I can see when the webinar has to be done. I can go into field measurement, engineering. As you're seeing also, I'm populating more than one view at the same time. So you can see what is the roadmap of each of these items, but I can see when they're done. And if you want, there is a search bar. So if I go in, choose the webinar project, and I just want to see that project right there. So I selected this one so I can see exactly when is the step of this item has to be done towards that. So I can see webinar, it's the field measurement has to be done the 10th, and the 14 has to be done, for the engineering level that goes through, so you can see exactly your steps. One thing has to be done, it's created by itself. If you change the template or the recipe, everything will follow and change all is going through. Another little thing that you could see right here on the top right, I have a little notification. So we do have what we call or notification being done towards our Webble. That's our new little chat function that allows me to know when a new project has been created or when something is completed. Because what's interesting also with the planning tool, even though you're not using Production Coach for tracking your elements, or you want to track when something is done in the office, well, we have inside of the planning tool what we call the start status and a complete status. So when I start something, I can go in and say, hey, I just started my field measurement. So I click on my little button right here. That will notify that the start of the field measurement has been done towards that. And then we'll also notify, if you want to let you know that this step has been started. And if I go in and I completed that task, will automatically, I can go in and say completed, and that will also notify that this step has been completed. And it will also change it to bring it to the day it's been completed. So since it's been completed today, well, it's going to modify it and change it directly for today. And I have a little notification right here allowing me to know that this job, the field measurement, has been started and has been completed on that date and time of when it's been done. So you can get aware. Now you can select the station that you want to have these notifications and who you want them to receive these notifications. Another little important thing, what you're seeing right here with all your station. Now I connected myself, seeing and have access to all of these station and deliveries right there. But you can assign to every user what calendar view you want them to see. So somebody that only handles engineering, well, can only have access to engineering, doesn't have to have the view of all the other things, and can be also assigned to only be a viewer towards that and not seeing everything towards it. So you have full control on your users of what you want them to see. Other little thing that's interesting when you're working with subcontractor or that kind of stuff, doesn't mean that you want necessarily to give them a webcam planning assistant, but you may maybe want them to receive notification or invite of a project. So if I take a job right here and I assign, if I take a job right here in the webinar and I assign it to a shipper, so I'll say like our truck, well, automatically the system can send an invite to your person, to your subcontractor, a calendar event. So they can receive a calendar event that they can place in directly in their own calendar and know that they have access or that job to do without necessarily have a direct access to the planning assistant tool that goes towards it. Now, if you do have a Production Coach station, now what's really interesting with the planning and the Production Coach is that everything works hand in hand. So automatically, since I created the project inside of Planning Assistant, well, it automatically created inside of Production Coach a work order, but it's an empty work order at this time. It's just a work order that's inside that doesn't have no data inside, because it's just a work order that contains information of the project. Everything is synchronized together. So once your CAD/CAM system, so let's say that the engineer finished the work and the job is ready for production, the machine or everything, and you want to import the data inside of Production Coach. So what we do now is, instead of importing directly, now what we're going to do is that we're going to merge the project with an existing one. So what I'm doing is I'm searching for webinar job, and I'm going to merge all the data of the CAD/CAM system directly inside of this project, and that will fill out all the information, the capacity measurement for the planning assistant directly into the web. So now when I'm looking at this project, I have all my CAD/CAM system data, and I have all my status of numbers of parts, product that needs to be done on all of these stations. So when I'm going to go directly now inside of the planning station, and let's say I'm going to pull out now the edge bending measurement capacity, and I'm going to select the webinar, you're going to see that I'm going to have now 158 parts that needs to be done at the edge banding. And because of my routing that I did inside of my Production Coach, well, I have the same amount that shows me the right and the same capacity that can be shown in these two elements. So both of them works hand in hand. So what that means is that once you're going to complete a task in Production Coach, it will also automatically complete a task in the planning assistant of the station that you have inside of Production Coach. So the way it really works is that you can have station tasks that are done for the office that are only designed in the planning tool, like the field measurement, the engineering, but all the other steps are going to be the tasks that are going to be complete from the Production Coach, and will update in the planning when steps are complete. And all the capacity measurement, while you're receiving them directly from the Production Coach that you can measure. So these types of information could be the square foot, could be the parts, and could be the product measurement and that kind of stuff that goes through. So it's pretty easy, direct way of seeing with the calendar. It's not complex. The key point is to allow you to have tools to know, again, when thing has to be done, everybody gets informed, everybody have the same structure. It's an easy, simple tool to use with interfaces that people are used to use directly in the industry, not too complex, and you're getting everybody on the same pace. You don't have to handle it in 2 or 3 different Outlook views or Google Calendar view. Everything is synchronized together, makes it really simple towards that. So that's pretty much what I wanted to really show you with the planning assistant. It's a basic little overview of all these information. If you want to have more information or more details, well, I'm sure with Sean and with his team, we can go more in details with this. So that pretty much it what I wanted to say there, Sean. I don't know if you have things you wanted to add.
Yeah, by the way, first of all, thank you, Jonathan, for taking the time with us today to share this. It definitely is a help. Most of you, or some of you probably know that we're doing 3 webcasts almost back to back today. So this definitely saved my voice, made it possible to endure and carry through. So thank you. And of course, you do an amazing job. And since you're one of the chief architects of the technologies for industry, couldn't think of having anyone that would be better to join us. Hey, everyone in attendance. We do have a couple of minutes left for Q&A. If you have any questions, please be mindful, as I had recommended earlier, to find the questions section of the webcast docking station and throw out whatever it is that you might have. When there are no questions, that could be a sign that the information was presented so well and so clearly you don't have questions, or it could also mean something quite to the contrary. So please don't be hesitant to ask any questions that you might have. So I'm going to work on fielding what we have. And so the question is there a way to verbally ask questions after be chat? I'm sorry, but this has to be in chat for now, but certainly post the webcast. We're here to be able to help in any way. And so for sure we can engage verbally and to be able to get anything that you need to be asked completed. We do private sessions, of course, for people, but these webcasts are for educational purposes and cover a great number of companies at the same time. So it just would be too much chaos otherwise. So I hope you can understand that. Yeah, so question, Jonathan, you made a mention that it might be a good idea to consider adding planning assistant first and then production coach. Would you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, well, it's always the aspect of a fast resolve. When you're integration like a planning assistant, it's something that can help you fast. And we're talking about an integration that takes less than it takes about 6 hours of integration that's being done towards that. And it's being done like online, and it goes pretty fast. Like last month, I would say we started I think 7 or 8 planning, more than that, 10 planning assistant in our area, and most of them were able to run it inside of a week or a week and a half, pretty much really fast to use it. So it's just that it's a faster aspect to start in. You can have fast resolve, and you don't have to have equipment being by with the production coach aspect. So that's why we do recommend to start it quickly with the planning. But for sure, both of them have different ROI. Production Coach has a big ROI for sure in your facility because you're saving a lot with all the people going in. But the aspect of the planning will help you organize really fast with the system going through. So it's just more in that case scenario that I'm saying this.
Yeah, and so I think what you heard from Jonathan is that the services to help you get started with Planning Assistant might be in the 6 to 9 hour range, just to give you a little bit of contrast. And of course, it depends on the number of stations and modules that you have of Production Coach, but that could easily be in the 30s to 40 hours. And of course, there is I don't know if you want to call it a delay, but dependencies before things can happen. For example, with Production Coach, not only do you need PCs, you need scanners, printers, a number of those things that all have to be connected. And generally, Production Coach also involves an on-site integration. So that would be one good one. Okay, so I'm going to try to read this. If you manually change a work order within a department after it is added to the calendar, does it break the intelligence or the recipe between the instances in each department? If I understand what it is that you're asking, I think that I can help with that, and Jonathan's here to back me up if I don't get it right. So we make a perfect recipe, right? And we've looked at it comparing our load to our productivity goals, but sometimes things happen, right? And so if we said, hey, this event didn't occur when it was supposed to, or I'm worried about the capacity of it when I've looked finitely at, for example, finishing. For many of our customers, that becomes a bottleneck or constraint, and so I see that I need to move some work orders around a little bit to accommodate the capacity of finishing. It could actually move all of the other chained events, and you get to decide which ones are chained to it. It could automatically move those forward so that it would accomplish the dates, or back to accomplish the dates that you have set. So you get the choice of deciding which of these stations or which of the calendar events that you want changed when you make a move that is different than just the automatic recipe. Jonathan, did I say that okay?
Yes, that's good.
Wonderful. Hey, we have a question related to the pricing, or what is the cost of Planning Assistant, and we'll be glad to help you. However, this webcast is made for, it's not a selling event, it's really made for educational stuff. And so thank you for asking the question, and it did get recorded, and so we will definitely get with you and help you understand what that might mean. And so I'm not trying to avoid the question, but there are a number of things that would affect that, and we probably should talk about who needs access, what amount of those are shared, are we linking it with Production Coach, what are we doing in the overall schema of it, and so we'll definitely be glad to help you with that for sure.
Can I add
go.
a comment towards that? Because that's really interesting though in a way. So just one thing to consider when we're working with the Planning Assistant towards the access. So now we're not considering a license. We're not considering something that's being installed on a PC. We're considering a user access. So since it's on our web, you can access on your phone, you can access it towards your PC or a tablet. So it's just a user access that we're going to consider of how much of these users we're going to need on the pricing levels. I just wanted to clarify that little thing because often it comes in from customers that are used from the aspect of the license being on a PC. Now it's more flexible. It's your user that you can use your own user to go on a PC or on your cell phone if you want.
Yeah, and I think, Jonathan, if I heard you correctly, one of the things that you suggested was that it was not a bad idea at all to start with what is basically a starter pack that includes 3 licenses to get it all set up and going, and then easily be able to add additional logins as needed.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful. Terry, I saw your answer. Thank you very much for that. We'll get you over pricing information and be glad to help in any way we can. Are there other questions that we have today? Great. Since there's not, I'm going to give my voice a little bit rest because I get to go do this again at 3 p.m. Central. Oh, I had one above. Oh, wow. Didn't see that. Can you hide future work orders per department until you want them to be visible? I'm asking this because we may add these in the office department well in advance of future tasks being done, and we would like to avoid any confusion. Does that make sense, Jonathan?
No, sorry, it cut it a little bit for me.
Yeah, so I'm going to read it one more time, and I think I understand, but he's asking about hiding future work orders per department until you want them to be visible.
Okay. What is one of the things, because with the planning assistant, and we don't want to forget, is that we're still investing a lot on the development of the year in this year to make it better and better approval. And when we create a project, the way I would see it is that we have project types. So probably I would use a project type being not approved or something like that. And inside the calendar by view, you're going to be able to show and only display the types of project that you want to. So we can make these type of projects not being shown there for these people. So that's one of the way that I see that we can handle it towards that.
Yeah, I think you also said something really, really important that has been, to me, one of the blessings of our efforts here with Production Coach and stuff from 2016 is that a product in our industry that doesn't change, doesn't grow, doesn't improve would really be dead. And for sure, when you get into this technology, if you're on the annual support, which we include as part of it in the first year, also includes all upgrades. And these guys are really awesome at listening to customers. You saw that a significant portion of the development actually comes from customers expressing needs, helping us understand what kinds of things would make their life easier, that would make the products have an even better ROI. And so that's definitely with Planning Assistant falls into that category, with it being such a launch of a product that was a module inside of Production Coach. So if there is something that makes sense that we have good, valid stuff for, the beauty is that we get to communicate that to the community and to be able to see those things come into fruition. So excellent, excellent question.
Yes.
So I want to first of all thank you, Jonathan, for taking your time with us today to help us understand, and for all your hard work in making this come together, for hitting the deadlines that you promised to get the product rolled out, and for doing a great job supporting our customers. And to each of you that attended today, I really, really appreciate you guys coming on and spending a little bit of time to work on your business instead of just in it. I know it's difficult when we're all super busy, but I hope and trust that this was a great investment of your time. With that said, I want to just wish you well. If I don't talk to you before, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and just would say farewell, take care, and God bless.